I'm Stephen Hollowell. I'm 61 years old. For over 30 years, I was Dr. Hollowell, a trusted physician, a man with a home in Legacy West, a wife, 2 kids. Today, I'm a convicted felon. I lost my family, my career, and 22 years of my life to a single 5-minute decision I made on a Tuesday afternoon. I served 9 years. I'm out on parole now, sitting in a halfway house apartment where the silence is so loud it rings in my ears. And I see my reflection in the window, and I don't recognize the man who made that choice. I need to say it out loud. Let me tell you what happened. It started in April of 2016 in my private practice office in Plano. You see, the surface of my life was perfect. The house in Legacy West, the respected practice, the family portrait on my desk with Sarah and our son and daughter. Upper middle class suburban dream, right? But beneath that surface, there was a pressure, a financial strain on the practice I told no one about, not even Sarah. The overhead, the payroll, the insurance, keeping up the lifestyle. My pride, it was huge. I was the doctor, the provider. I couldn't show weakness. I couldn't ask for help. That pressure sat with me every single day, right there at my desk. So that Tuesday afternoon, I was looking at a spreadsheet, not a patient chart. The air conditioning hummed, and I made a choice. It was so clinical, so detached. I opened a patient's file, a routine follow-up visit, and I inflated the diagnostic code. Just one click of the mouse. The justification in my head was this smooth, professional lie. I thought, it's just bridging a gap, one time. The system owes me for all the work I do. I submitted the claim. I walked out of my office. I went to see my next patient. And for 3 weeks, I almost forgot I'd done it. Then 3 weeks later, I glanced up from a chart. There were 2 men in my waiting room. They wore cheap suits. They looked calm, polite. They showed me badges, not police, investigators from the insurance carrier. My heart didn't hammer. It just sank, like a stone dropped into a deep, cold lake. I knew, right then. They asked about that one claim. Their voices were flat, professional. My world didn't end with a bang. It ended with a quiet, sinking certainty in my gut. After they left, the unraveling started. I hired a lawyer. There was a plea deal, cold, procedural language. I remember the drive home from my lawyer's office, sitting in my car in the garage of our beautiful home in Legacy West, the engine off, just silence. I had to tell Sarah. And you know what? That conversation was the beginning of a different kind of sentence. The night before my sentencing, she was in the kitchen, packing a suitcase. Her back was to me. She didn't yell. She didn't even cry. She just said, "The kids can't come here to see you." What do I tell them? That their father, the doctor, is a thief? Her voice was so quiet, so full of a grief I had put there. That was her verdict. Her quiet devastation was more final than anything a judge could say. The next day in court, when they gave me 22 years, it just made it official. It just put a number on the life sentence she'd already given me. Then came the institution, the processing, the uniform, the walk to the cell, and the sound, the metallic clang of the door closing behind me. I didn't panic. I felt empty, a profound, chilling emptiness. In that moment, I understood. Dr. Hollowell was gone. In the silence from my family, that was the loudest sound. Sarah's divorce papers came. The letters from my kids, they stopped coming. There was just this void, this huge, aching void where my family used to be. The only tether, the only fragile thread, was letters from my older sister. She's the one who remembers the boy I was before I became the doctor. Her letters were a lifeline to a person I wasn't sure existed anymore. That silence and that one connection forced me to look at what I'd actually lost. Here's what I understand now, too late. I confused my professional reputation with my personal character. They are not the same thing. One can be stripped away in an instant. Integrity, it isn't one big grand gesture. It's the sum of 1,000 small, correct choices. And I traded mine in 5 minutes. And that trade has a specific, terrible price. Let me tell you what that price looks like. It's not just the years, it's the details. The small things you don't think about until they're gone. Like the smell of my own kitchen on a Sunday morning. Coffee brewing, Sarah making pancakes for the kids. That's gone. It's the sound of my daughter's laugh over the phone when she'd call from college. That's gone. It's the weight of my medical bag in my hand, the feel of a stethoscope around my neck. All gone. I traded those things for a few $1,000s from an insurance company. I didn't think of it that way in that moment, of course. I thought I was solving a spreadsheet problem, but that's what I was doing. I was putting a price tag on my entire life, and I didn't even know I was at the auction. So here's my advice. If you're in a position of trust, a doctor, a teacher, a banker, a parent, and you feel that quiet, tempting whisper to cut a corner, to take a harmless shortcut, stop. Just stop. Get up from your desk, walk away. Look at the photograph on your desk, the one of your family. Look at the keys to your home. Think about the way your spouse says your name. That one choice, that just this once choice, is the price tag for all of it. Every single bit. I learned this too late, but maybe you don't have to. My reality now is this. I'm 61 years old. I'm out on parole, but I have 13 years left hanging over my head. My old life isn't just changed, it's gone. The house in Legacy West was sold. Sarah moved to Austin. My son is an engineer in Denver. My daughter is a lawyer in Chicago. They have lives I'm not a part of. I get updates sometimes through my sister. She's the one who told me my daughter got married last year. She sent me a photograph, my little girl in a white dress, smiling. A man I've never met standing beside her. I keep that photograph in a drawer. I look at it sometimes, and the feeling isn't even sadness anymore. It's just hollow. Like looking at a photograph of someone else's life, a life I read about in a magazine. I live in this halfway house apartment. It's a single room, a bed, a desk, a small kitchenette. The walls are beige, the floor is linoleum. It's clean, it's quiet. And the silence here is different from the silence in prison. In prison, the silence was full of other men's breathing, of distant gates clanging, of tension. Here, the silence is just empty. It's my own. And in that silence, I have to figure out who I am. I'm not Dr. Hollowell. That man died in that courtroom, maybe even earlier, in my kitchen when Sarah turned her back. I'm not inmate number 78432 anymore either. So who am I? I'm Stephen. Steve, a 61-year-old man with a GED I earned inside, a parole officer I report to every week, and a job stocking shelves at a hardware store 4 nights a week. The young guys at work, they call me Steve. They have no idea. They think I'm just another old guy down on his luck. And I am. But the story of how I got here, that's the part they don't know. And you know what? That's okay. Maybe that's the foundation. Truth. Simple, plain truth. No more lies, not even the polite ones. Not even the lie I told myself for decades that I was somehow above the rules. So I'm building a new life, brick by painful brick. It's a small life. It's a quiet life. I go to work, I come home. I write letters to my sister, I read, I think, and sometimes, like now, I talk about what happened. I'm doing this because I have to believe that the 5 minutes that destroyed my life don't have to be the final word. The next 5 minutes, and the 5 after that, they can be about something else. They can be about telling the truth. They can be about showing up, even for a menial job, and doing it honestly. They can be about being, for the first time in a long time, just a man. Not a title, not a number. Just a man who made a terrible mistake and is trying, in whatever small way he can, to live with it. You still have your today. Your life with all its complications and pressures and beautiful ordinary moments. Please, listen to me. Don't trade it. Don't trade it for a moment of weakness, for a shortcut, for a lie you think you can contain. You can't. It's a crack in the dam. And once it starts, everything you love, everything you are, just washes away. I look at my reflection in the window of this apartment. The streetlights are on outside. I see an old man with tired eyes. But maybe, just maybe, I'm starting to recognize him again. Not the doctor, not the inmate, just Steve. And maybe that's enough to build on. And maybe that's enough to build on. But you have to understand. You have to understand what it took to get to that point. What it really cost. The breaking point didn't happen in the courtroom. It didn't happen when the cell door closed. It happened in a prison visiting room, about 4 years in. It was my sister, Eleanor. She'd come all the way from Dallas. She was the only one who still visited. She'd sit there, this elegant woman in her 60s, in a plastic chair, and she'd talk about her garden, about old neighbors, about nothing at all, just filling the silence. And I was grateful, so grateful. But this one visit, it was different. She'd been quiet for a while. Then she reached into her purse. She pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. Not a letter, a photograph. She slid it across the table to me. It was my daughter, Claire. My little girl, in a graduation gown. A law school graduation. She was smiling, holding her diploma, standing next to a woman I didn't recognize, probably a friend. My son Michael wasn't in the picture. I just stared at it. Claire looked so much like Sarah. That same smile, but harder around the eyes. A grown woman. A stranger. Sarah sent it to me, Eleanor said, her voice very low. She thought you should see it. I touched the edge of the photograph. The glossy surface felt foreign. She's a lawyer, I said. It wasn't a question. Top of her class, Eleanor said, and she paused. Steve, she's getting married next month to a nice young man, an architect. I looked up from the picture. Is she happy? Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. That's what did it. My big sister who never cried. She just looked at me and the tears rolled down her cheeks, and she didn't wipe them away. I don't know, she whispered. She doesn't talk to me about that. She doesn't talk to anyone about you. It's just a closed door. I nodded. I kept nodding. I handed the photograph back to her. You should keep this, I said. My voice sounded flat, dead. Steve, no, it's okay, really. Thank you for showing me. But it wasn't okay. After she left, I went back to my cell. I sat on the bunk, and it hit me. It really hit me for the first time. Not as a concept, but as a physical truth. I had missed it. All of it. I had missed her high school graduation. I told myself from in here that I hadn't because it was before my sentencing, but the truth was I'd missed it emotionally. I'd been so wrapped up in the dread of my own coming disaster that I don't remember the ceremony. I have no memory of her in her cap and gown. None. I missed her college graduation. I missed law school. I would miss her wedding. I would never meet the man she chose. I would never have grandchildren, or if I did, I would be a story they were told to be careful about, a cautionary tale. That's your grandfather. He made a bad choice. And Michael, my son, he'd been the quiet one. He'd just stopped writing. No drama, no angry letter, just silence. I realized I didn't know what his voice sounded like anymore. Had it changed? Did he have a family? I had traded all of that for a 5-minute decision about a billing code. I'd sat in my ergonomic chair in my air-conditioned office, and I had clicked a mouse, and I had sold my seat at my daughter's wedding. I had pawned my right to walk her down the aisle. I had cashed in any chance of being a grandfather my grandkids could be proud of. I had done that. Me. I thought about the money, the exact amount. It was $1,850. That's what the falsified claim was for. $1,850. I tried to hold that number in my head and weigh it against my daughter's smile in that graduation photo. I tried to balance it against the sound of my son's voice, now lost to me. It was impossible. There was no scale that could measure that. One was a number on a spreadsheet. The other was everything. That night, for the first time, I cried in that place. Not quiet tears. I broke. I put my face in my hands and I sobbed. I cried for this stupid, arrogant man in that office who thought he was solving a problem. I cried for Sarah, packing that suitcase in our kitchen, her back so straight, her heart shattered. I cried for Claire and Michael, who had to explain their father to their friends, to their partners. I cried for the patients who trusted me, whose trust I'd betrayed just as completely as I'd betrayed my family. I'd thought of it as a victimless crime, a faceless insurance company. But the victims were everywhere. They were my family. They were my community. They were me. I cried until I was empty. And when I was done, I was different. The last vestige of Dr. Stephen Hollowell of Legacy West, the man who thought he was special, who thought the rules were for other people, that man was finally gone, washed away. All that was left was the truth, A man who made a terrible, selfish choice. A man who hurt everyone who loved him. A thief. That was the bottom. That was the cold, hard floor of it. I was a thief. Not a doctor who made a mistake. A thief. I had stolen money, and in doing so, I had stolen from my own life. I had stolen time and memories and love. You can't give those things back. There's no restitution for that. I lay there in the dark listening to the prison sounds, and I accepted it. For the first time, I didn't make excuses. I didn't think about the financial pressure or the system or any of it. I just thought, I did this. This is my fault. All of it. And you know what? It was a relief. A terrible, painful relief. Because as long as I was making excuses, I was still that arrogant man. The moment I stopped, the moment I just accepted the full, awful weight of what I'd done, that was the moment I could finally start. Start what I didn't know, but start. That was the bottom. That was the cold, hard floor of it. And from that floor, you have to decide if you're going to lie there or try to stand up. I decided to stand. Not as Dr. Hollowell. That man was gone. But as Steve. Just Steve. The man who did this terrible thing and had to learn how to live with it. Here's what I learned lying on that bunk after seeing my daughter's graduation photo. I learned that the opposite of integrity isn't always some grand, malicious crime. Sometimes it's a quiet, arrogant whisper. It's the voice that says, my situation is special. The rules are for other people. I deserve this shortcut because of who I am, because of my title, because of my stress. That voice is a liar. It's the most dangerous liar you will ever listen to because it sounds so reasonable. It sounds like you. I was wrong about so many things. I was wrong to think my reputation as a doctor was the same as my character. My reputation was what people saw. My character was what I did when no one was looking. And in that 5 minutes, when I thought no one was looking, my character failed. My reputation just followed it into the grave. I was wrong to think I could contain it. Just this once is a myth. It's the first crack. Once you allow it, you've already changed who you are. You've already decided that your word, your oath, your integrity has a price. Mine was $1,850. The cheapest, most expensive decision of my life. What I should have done was so simple it's painful. I should have talked to Sarah. I should have said, honey, the practice is struggling. I'm scared. I should have swallowed my pride and asked my older sister Eleanor for advice or for a loan. I should have looked at that spreadsheet and accepted the reality. Maybe we sell the house in Legacy West. Maybe we downsize. Maybe I take a salaried position at a hospital. Those would have been hard conversations. They would have bruised my ego, but they wouldn't have broken my family. I chose the path that saved my ego and destroyed everything else. Don't make that trade. Your ego is not worth it. So my advice, if you're in a position of trust, and that's all of us in some way, is this. When you feel that pressure, that temptation to fudge a number, to shade the truth, to take what isn't yours because you feel entitled or desperate, stop. Get up, walk away from the desk, Go look at a photograph of the people you love. Put your hand on the wall of your home. Remember the sound of your child's voice. That whisper is offering you a deal. It's saying, trade all of this for a momentary relief. Don't take it. The relief is an illusion. The cost is real, and it's everything. I'm 61. I have 13 years of parole left. My old life is a photograph in a drawer. But I'm not dead, and this is the realistic hope I cling to. I have today. This one quiet, unremarkable day in this beige apartment. I can choose to be honest in it. I can choose to show up for my shelf-stocking job and do it right. I can choose to write a truthful letter to my sister. I can choose, in this small, quiet way, to rebuild a man. Not a doctor, a man, brick by brick, choice by choice. It's a humble life, but it's mine, and it's honest. For the first time in a long time, it's honest. You have your today, your life with all its beautiful, complicated pressures. You have people who say your name with love. You have a home, a routine, a reputation. Please, listen to me. Guard it. Protect it. Not from outsiders, but from that quiet, arrogant voice inside your own head. The one that tells you you're different. You're not. The rules of decency apply to you, just as they do to everyone else. Your integrity is the foundation of everything you have. Don't mortgage it. Not for anything. This channel, from what I understand, is about sharing stories like mine. Real people who made real mistakes and lived to tell the tale, hoping someone else might listen. If this story, my story, meant something to you, if it made you think, or if it scared you straight, then I'd consider it a privilege if you'd subscribe. Hit that notification bell. There are other voices here, other lessons learned the hard way, and they're worth hearing. Leave a comment down below. Tell me, have you ever heard that whisper? What did you do? Your story might help someone else. Hit the like button if this resonated with you, and share it. Share it with a colleague, a friend, a student. Share it with someone who's under pressure and might need to hear that the shortcut isn't worth it. If you have a story of your own, something you've learned through loss or regret, there's a form in the description. Maybe your words will be what someone else needs to hear. Maybe you can help someone avoid the cliff I walked right off. There's a book I read inside, one my sister sent me. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He wrote about finding purpose in suffering. My suffering was of my own making, but that book, it helped me see that even then I had a choice in how I responded, how I moved forward. There's a link to it in the description below if you're interested. Don't be like me. Don't wait until you're sitting in a silent room staring at a reflection you don't recognize to understand the value of what you had. Look around you right now. This is your life. It's fragile, it's precious, and it can be undone in 5 minutes. Choose the next 5 minutes wisely. Choose integrity. Choose truth. Choose the hard conversation over the easy lie. It's the only thing that lasts.